Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of Consciousness Rising Zimbabwe and Beyond. My name is Tania, and I will be your host today. And for people that are new to this channel, I just want to explain that what we talk about here, if you're interested in anything that is alternative, from lifestyles to therapies to fringe topics, then please check out all of our other interviews, because we've already introduced a lot of people that are doing that type of work here in Zimbabwe and also South Africa. So, but today we are very excited because I think many of you already know about something that's been around for a few years now. It's called Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, QHHT. And it pops up all the time on all of our feeds whenever we're looking at anything alternative. And it is a fantastic therapy. And the most exciting thing is that we have somebody here in Zimbabwe who is now a practitioner. So I'd really like to introduce to you today, Jane Evans. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Tans. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us. And like I said, it's very exciting. I think that not many people know that we do have a QHHT practitioner here. So please, you go ahead. Maybe people don't know what that is. So you go ahead and explain to us exactly what it is.
Yeah, thanks, Tans. And thanks very much for having me on here today. I think it's really exciting that we all get together and discuss all these topics.
Yep.
I've been involved in this journey for quite a few years now, and it's led me down to the path eventually of getting to the QHHT. So that's the quantum healing hypnosis technique. Now, basically, it's a therapy where you tap into the deepest part of your subconscious. And once we're into that level, that's called the somnambulistic level. So we've got the four states of mind. Obviously, your beta state, which is where we sit all the time. And then you've got the alpha state of mind, which is a very light state of hypnosis. Most practitioners who are trying to help people give up smoking or drinking, that's the level that they operate in. You then have the theta state of mind, which is the state of mind that we're talking about here. And after that, you pass into the delta state of mind, which is your sleep. So a lot of people do have concerns about hypnosis, and we just need to remind them that we pass through this theta state of mind twice a day anyway, because you pass through on the way to sleep and then obviously on the way out of sleep. So the theta state of mind is the place where our dreams happen. We don't usually remember what's going on when we're in a theta state of mind. And that's why you need a driver to drive the session, which is basically what I am. So I'm the captain of the ship. I'm the one who's asking the questions. We reach that state of mind and we can ask all the questions that we need to. So I think the main thing about QHHT is that it's a deep place of healing, where once you get to that state, once it's basically been exposed, is when the healing happens. A lot of the time we reach past life regressions. I've seen some incredible stuff since I've been doing this. And, people will pass through even the death of their past life regression. And sometimes that's where the problems is the death or the atrocities that they've had in their past lives have come through into this life and are actually causing unbelievable trauma and chaos in their lives today. Mm-hmm. So I think that is a really fascinating part of it. And the more and more people are becoming awake these days, the more and more they're actually remembering when they're in a deep state. So it's becoming really interesting. The different people that I'm doing, I can actually see where they're at, sort of on a level. We do record the sessions, and some amazing things have come through in these sessions. Obviously, I can't discuss any in particular because of obviously confidentiality with the people. You obviously want the deepest trust that you can get with them. Uh, but yeah, Tan, so far it's been an incredible journey. And yeah, I look forward to seeing many, many people.
And I think the other thing to point out is that it is used as a healing modality. So if you have some kind of physical, emotional, mental health issues, that is really what it is used for. Is that correct, or is it used for other things as well?
No, that's absolutely hence the quantum healing hypnosis technique. You can tap into these past lives and maybe childhood traumas, and the healing can be instant. So people who come for a session, they wake up and their back pains that they've lived with for years have disappeared. So yeah, it's quite extraordinary how fast the healing is. Yeah, very, very interesting.
I also know when you talk about theta, is people talk about it. Who is it? I think Joe Dispenza and others. They will all talk about how your body's able to heal itself when you're in the theta state. So, and obviously,
absolutely,
we don't do that when we're going to sleep or we're waking up, because maybe we haven't programmed, or which is where the guidance comes in. Is that correct? From the practitioner?
Yeah, look, I think the more and more you become in tune with your own intuition, you would set an intention. And absolutely, we can heal ourselves of anything, but sometimes people haven't sort of reached that the inner guidance and that sort of level, and they need somebody to guide them. So that's basically where we preset an intention of what we're looking for, and then we go in and we sort of ask those questions. We reach the subconscious state of mind where that is your inner healing, that is your inner guidance.
And Jen, just tell our listeners what could they expect? What is a session? Because a session can be quite long. Just tell them how the session would go.
Yeah, that's right. So if we do the session properly, we should only ever need one session. It can be a couple of hours. I would say no less than 3, but average sessions are about 4 hours. We usually spend at least 2 of that sort of getting to know each other. And, we find out if there's anything going on in that person at this time. So at least when they're under, we can ask those questions. Why are they happening? I mean, the usual sort of questions that we're getting are family or relationship orientated. People want to know about their relationships. Should they be continuing with certain traumatic ones? Family and why they've got such bad family connections and things like that. Other people come on a spiritual level. They want to know more about their spiritual path and life goals. What are we doing here? Are we on the right track? We enjoy or we don't enjoy what we're doing, and should we be changing it? And then, health issues is obviously a big one, which it seems like everybody's got something going on. And it's quite amazing how these triggers, or, we start seeing cycles which are happening. And when you tap into these cycles, then usually you can try and get to the bottom of them, back to the beginning or the source of the problem, and release those things. A lot of it is also karmic repayment that we're doing. It could be from past lifetimes or from current lifetimes. And a lot of the healing comes through because we're releasing that karma. And then obviously the mystical questions, I've seen unidentified objects. I've seen strange beings, etc., etc. So yeah, these are all the kind of questions and things that we are expecting in our sessions.
I think it's also important just to mention that, and people can actually go and research this because there's a lot of information, is that the QHHT actually came from Dolores Cannon. And she passed away a few years ago, but she did it for what, I think 30 or 40 years. And so people can go and research the history of it. And she tells some remarkable stories of how people in the session who had extreme health issues, she would watch them contort, she would hear their bones snap, back into place, and all of that, people that were like on their deathbed or going in for major surgery. And and during the session, whatever came up, and subconscious, because she's actually talked about speaking to your higher self or a unified field or some kind of energy that she felt is once you get through the past lives, you then get to that being or that presence or that field, so to speak. And that is where the healing happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Dolores actually did 50 years of training,
Oh, yeah.
and her courses today are herself, which has been recorded. So it's fabulous. Her daughter, Julia, has continued all her work that she's been doing. And her courses are made up of Dolores's actual trainings. She's trained thousands and thousands of people. I mean, there really are thousands of practitioners around the world now. And I think that's really exciting because, yeah, the higher self that you talk about, we find that when we're in a somnambulistic state, and the subconscious comes through and it speaks to us, and answers these questions. So yeah, very, very powerful stuff. And she has had some unbelievable experiences. I think she's written 32 odd books now, of which you can find a lot of her work on YouTube. So if you just search Dolores Cannon on YouTube, a lot of her books are actually on free audio now, which is absolutely fantastic. So you can learn a whole lot of free information actually before you even start the journey of that. And yeah, you'll dig deeper and deeper as you go into it.
And I think it's also important to note that the training that you've been through is very intensive. It's not a weekend course training in hypnotism.
No, it is an online course, which is fabulous. It means that, she's training people all over the world. Unfortunately, I haven't met anyone in Zim yet who's done it, because then we can practice on each other. Because it's not recommended that you do this online. Because when people do go into a state of trauma, if the line cuts, you've got a serious problem. Because how do you pick up with them again? You can't just leave them hanging.
Correct.
So it is a one-on-one, and I would be really excited if other people were interested and got onto the course and did it. We need hundreds of practitioners here.
And Jen, I know you can't talk about people very specifically, but could you not just tell us about transformations that you have seen without naming anybody?
I think the biggest transformations I've seen are sort of backaches, sleeping problems, dreams. People have interesting dreams. And this sort of comes out in the sessions as well. But yeah, I've had no bone cracking experiences yet, but I hope to have some soon if I can do that.
I would be horrified, to be honest, if that happened when I was a facilitator.
Yeah.
All right. But what I can say to people is that I did have a session with you, gosh, I think over a year ago. Was that correct?
Yes, yeah.
So I can talk about my experience there. And I think what I can't remember all the things that we were addressing, but I know one of the things that we were addressing was that I had this fear of making contact with supernatural beings. Okay, that really was the main thing, like, oh, and in some cases it was more than a fear, it was like a phobia. And the phobia would present itself at silly times, like if I was going to go swimming, because I do swimming training, and if I would go swimming and I would be alone in the swimming pool. Okay, I wasn't afraid of drowning, a silly thing, but I had this fear about some kind of water beings, or it was ridiculous. Anyway, so we did the session, and it was a long session, but so afterwards, it's not like I came out of there and like, oh, now I'm all just bouncing off the walls and I'm all cool with it. I didn't think about it. It was only really, I could say, maybe 4 months later, I noticed that I didn't even think about that when I went swimming. It doesn't even enter my head now. If I'm swimming and I'm alone in the swimming pool, that's okay. It doesn't enter my head that I'm in any kind of danger. So that it's like a kind of subtle, I wouldn't say it's instant, maybe it is for some people, but for me it was, I would say, maybe over a course of months, but also it's completely out of your consciousness, because now you're not thinking about it, are you?
Yeah, and tons, that's fabulous feedback for me. And I think it's just exactly that kind of thing. Is all you've got to do is get into that state of mind and visit whatever the problem is. It obviously came to us, it's been exposed, and it can now go away. You can let it go.
Yeah. So yeah, and anyway, so that is it. But I mean, obviously we can come back because there'll be other issues. I mean, you're not going to address everything in one issue, in one session, are you? So you deal with that.
Mainly
then,
mainly it's a particular issue that people have come to me on, and then we deal with that. But it would be lovely to actually sit down with you again, because lots changed since a year ago. I've obviously done different levels in the training, and I've experienced a lot more, so it would be quite exciting to do that.
Good. Well, that'll be coming up soon, then you'll have to make an appointment. Okay, and then so Jen, the other thing that I wanted to ask you, you talk about is past life, visiting past lives for healing. And obviously we've been hearing that narrative for a long time. Do you know what can I give you my idea of what a past life is? Okay, it's like
I'd love to hear that.
It's where I'm sitting, because everything changes all the time. It morphs. I kind of feel that it's like we're in this quantum soup, and when we go into these altered states and hypnotic states, and we have a problem, what we do is we just access something from the quantum soup, and that might not necessarily be our past life, but it could be something that is pertinent to what the problem is right now. And I think that is why a lot of people will have, so many different people will have be Cleopatra or Mother Mary, or whoever. You get those repeats a lot in a past life. So I have a very different idea about what past life regression is, and even all our different lives that we've experienced. It's more like, instead of the soul being inside the body, inside me, I am inside the soul. And the soul is having all these sort of multidimensional experiences anyway. So I can tap into anything in a linear timeline, like maybe there's an aspect of me right now that is sitting in India, or there's a butterfly or an ant or a warthog or a zebra. You know what I mean? It's like many aspects of me right now. And they could be in other beings, in other dimensions, other worlds. So it's more, that's sort of like how I understand consciousness and spirit and the soul. So I wouldn't get hung up about, oh, that was my past life, well, maybe it was.
No, the way Dolores explains is that we've actually had hundreds and hundreds of past lives, and we're sort of coming back all the time to learn new lessons, to, cancel out karma. Some of the lives you could be living a couple at any one time, reaching into different dimensions of it. So yeah, her work she's done a lot of research, and all her answers have come through her hypnosis technique. And she kept getting the same answers from hundreds and hundreds of people. And that's how she's written her books, is she's mapped the same answers together. Obviously, she's asking the questions, and different people who don't know each other are answering the same sort of questions. I think one really good book that she's written is Between Death and Life. In other words, she sort of explains us as souls having a human experience. And so where does your soul go in between these lives? And that's what she explains, is the death, between death and life. So in other words, what is the soul doing before it comes back into life? So yeah, if there's any place anyone wants to start, that might be a really good place. Look up Between Death and Life by Dolores Cannon.
And can you buy those books in a hard copy, or are they online type books?
You can buy them all on Amazon, but that one in particular is a free audio on YouTube.
Oh, really?
So you just look it up on YouTube, and yeah, it's a great start to digging down that rabbit hole.
Well, maybe you can send me the link, and then I'll put that in the bottom of this so people can go straight there and look at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Jane, you are based in Harare?
Based in Harare, and I have my own therapy room here at home. Obviously, I can only do one session a day, and that is usually only one session a week, because obviously it's in between everything else that I do. So my calendar is full for the next month. But yeah, I look forward to seeing more and more Zimbabweans, and maybe having a few more practitioners around as well would be amazing.
Yeah, well, I think you have to highlight things and pique the interest, And as I said in my earlier last with Antonello on our update, I just feel like 2023, I can't tell you how many people, not even in a spiritual field, but in every other thing, they've been struggling and struggling and struggling. And when I see them like, how are you? Oh, no, everything's fine. Yeah, I got that contract. Oh, and I got another contract. And everything just seems to be coalescing like in this year. But as you said earlier, the energies have changed so much that maybe, it's just so much easier to manifest. And also, as you said, get into those states of theta and access that unified field a lot easier.
Yeah, no, definitely. And people are just coming to with what's actually happening in the world today. So it's not our little Zimbabwe that we've got problems, it's the whole world. And I think the biggest thing is to know what's going on and don't be afraid of it. Because, we don't do well with fear. And that's what, obviously, like the mainstream medias are there to do to us, is to terrorize us, put us into a bad place.
That's right. And as a lot of teachers have been saying, it's really just to heal, to work on ourselves. If we can do the work on ourselves, we're actually doing it for the collective.
Yes, absolutely. Tap into that, your gut feel, your inner guidance.
Yeah. So anyway, Jen, thank you so much for giving us your time. And I look forward to another session. And then maybe we can do another catch up, and then I can report back to everybody how that went.
Yeah, absolutely, Tans. Thanks for doing this. I think it's fabulous what you're doing here. So well
Yeah,
done.
thank you. No, thank you. And so to everybody else, please like this and please share it, because you never know where you just hit the jackpot. Somebody who needs that help, needs that inspiration, or needs that certain type of healing for themselves. So yeah, so please just help to share the love, and we'll be back with you soon for another episode. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you so much, Jen. Bye.
Thanks, Tan.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.